Did you know that over half of all sports and celebrity memorabilia on the market is believed to be fake? That means the odds are stacked against collectors, whether you're a seasoned expert or just starting out. The world of memorabilia is filled with stories of legendary finds, but also heartbreaking tales of deception. For every genuine Babe Ruth signed baseball, there's likely a forgery out there. Some fakes are so convincing that even experienced collectors and authenticators can be fooled. The difference between a priceless treasure and a worthless fake can be nearly impossible to spot with the naked eye. This isn't just a few bad apples. It's a billion-dollar industry built on deception. Counterfeiters have turned forgery into a business, flooding the market with items that look and feel real, but are nothing more than clever imitations. Imagine spending your savings on what you think is a piece of history only to discover it was signed last week in someone's garage. The sense of betrayal can be overwhelming, especially when the item held deep, personal meaning. The emotional blow can be worse than the financial loss. People don't just lose money, they lose trust, memories, and sometimes even their passion for collecting. Scammers prey on our desire for a tangible connection to our heroes. They know that for many, owning a signed item is about more than value. It's about feeling close to greatness. They're not just selling fake ink, they're selling a false sense of connection. Every forged signature is a story stolen from a fan, a dream sold under false pretenses. Federal agencies have uncovered warehouses filled with forgeries, complete with fake certificates and convincing backstories. These operations are sophisticated, often involving networks that span countries and continents. So, how does this happen? How do a few people fool thousands of collectors and even experts? The answer lies in the sheer scale and complexity of the scam, and the trust that buyers place in sellers. It starts with someone who sees the demand for memorabilia as an opportunity for deception. They study the market, learn the signatures, and perfect their craft to exploit the hopes of collectors. To understand the scam, you have to understand the scammer, their motivations, their methods, and the lengths they'll go to in order to cash in on our dreams. Meet Greg Marino. By day, he seemed like just another face in the crowd, an ordinary guy living an unremarkable life. He blended in perfectly, never drawing attention to himself as he went about his daily routine. But to the FBI, Greg was anything but ordinary. He was one of America's most prolific forgers, a man whose handiwork fooled even the sharpest experts. Greg's journey into forgery began small. Just a man with a steady hand, a sharp eye, and a knack for spotting opportunity where others saw nothing. He would spend hours studying real autographs, analyzing every curve and flourish, practicing until he could replicate them perfectly from memory. Greg wasn't just tracing lines, he was training his muscles, learning the rhythm and pressure behind each signature until his forgeries were indistinguishable from the real thing. Before long, his family became his partners in crime, turning their modest home into a bustling forgery factory. Each member played a role, making the operation run like a well-oiled machine. His mother took charge of aging the documents, dipping paper in tea, using vintage pens, and adding subtle details that made every piece look genuinely historic. They weren't just selling signatures, they were selling entire stories, weaving tales around each item to make them irresistible to collectors. Every fake came with a carefully crafted backstory, complete with certificates and letters, and buyers believed every word, never suspecting a thing. Marino's audacity knew no bounds. He forged hundreds of names, from sports legends to presidents, and even historical icons. He even went so far as to create autographs for every single signer of the Declaration of Independence, a feat that stunned even seasoned collectors. What started as a kitchen table operation soon exploded into a multi-million-dollar fraud, ensnaring collectors and dealers across the country. Greg mastered the art of lying, and with every successful sale, his confidence and his ambition only grew. The fantasy world he built was limited only by his imagination and his boundless greed as he pushed the limits of what people would believe. Marino's story is a masterclass in deception, a reminder that sometimes the most convincing lies are hidden in plain sight. How do you make a fake autograph that fools even experts? It starts with relentless practice. Forgers study genuine signatures, analyzing every loop, slant, and pressure point. They learn the rhythm and speed, mimicking the natural flow. Materials matter. You can't sign Lincoln's name with a modern pen. Forgers hunt for vintage paper, period ink, and even age items artificially. Sun, tea, anything to create authenticity. The next step is the Certificate of Authenticity, or COA. Forgers print their own, inventing companies with official-sounding names and glossy seals. To a novice, a fake COA looks as good as the real thing. The internet changed everything. Online marketplaces let forgers reach millions, hiding behind anonymous accounts and fake reviews. They control the narrative, sell globally, and vanish after the sale. The web gave them a shield and a direct line to eager, unsuspecting fans. In this digital age, the scam is bigger and bolder than ever. Greg Marino's operation didn't just dabble in fakes. They built an empire. At its peak, they churned out thousands of forgeries a month, flooding the market. Their fakes became so common, dealers unknowingly used them as benchmarks for authenticity. The FBI's Operation Bullpen uncovered millions in forged memorabilia, rooms stacked with fake autographs from Elvis to Mother Teresa. Nothing was sacred. If a name could sell, they'd forge it. The market was permanently corrupted, real memorabilia devalued by the flood of fakes. Trust crumbled. Every autograph became suspect, every transaction a gamble. The financial toll was staggering. Over $100 million lost by regular fans, not wealthy investors. These were people who saved for months, only to have their dreams stolen. Marino and his crew didn't just steal money. They stole the joy and trust that made collecting special. Their empire was built on broken dreams and shattered faith. The damage wasn't just financial, it was personal. The hobby would never be the same. The fallout from Operation Bullpen went far beyond lost money. Honest dealers found themselves accused of price gouging, forced to compete with criminals selling fakes for pennies. Trust eroded. Experienced collectors became paranoid. Newcomers got burned and left the hobby for good. The community fractured. Friendships strained by suspicion and accidental sales of fakes. The historical record suffered too. Future historians will struggle to separate real from fake. Operation Bullpen's forgeries are now a permanent part of the landscape, confusing collectors for generations. Even celebrities are victims. Their signatures, meant as a gesture to fans, hijacked for fraud. It's a violation of their identity and their bond with supporters. The crime isn't just against collectors, it's against the people whose names are stolen. The damage is deep, and the wounds linger. The business of fakes poisons everything it touches. The trust that once defined collecting is hard to rebuild. Behind every scam are real people, unseen victims whose stories rarely make headlines. Their pain is often hidden, tucked away behind closed doors, far from the public eye. For every headline about a scammer caught, there are dozens of families quietly dealing with the aftermath, their trust shattered and their dreams dimmed. Imagine a father saving for a year to buy his son a signed baseball, only to discover it's worthless. The excitement of giving a cherished gift turns into heartbreak, and the memory of that moment is forever changed. What was meant to be a symbol of love and effort becomes a painful reminder of betrayal. That's a wound deeper than money, a stolen memory, a tainted moment. The loss isn't just financial, it's emotional, cutting into the very fabric of family bonds and treasured experiences. Collectors pour their hearts into their collections, only to find the centerpiece is a lie. Years of dedication and passion can unravel in an instant, leaving them questioning every purchase and every memory attached to it. The emotional toll is immense: shame, anger, and a sense of betrayal. Relationships are strained, and the joy of collecting is replaced by doubt and regret. Some victims even withdraw from their hobbies, afraid to trust again. Forgers never see the tears or the arguments their scams cause. They don't witness the late-night conversations, the blame, or the guilt that follows. To them, it's just another transaction, but to the victims, it's a personal loss. Sometimes it's the small purchases that hurt most. A young fan's allowance spent on a fake autograph. The disappointment is crushing, and the lesson learned is one of mistrust rather than inspiration. The lesson is harsh, teaching cynicism instead of joy. What should have been a moment of pride becomes a memory tinged with sadness, shaping how they see the world. Forgers steal more than cash. They steal innocence and excitement. They rob people of the simple pleasures that come from believing in something special. The dirtiest part of this job isn't the ink or the lies. It's the way it robs people of trust and wonder. It leaves a stain that's hard to wash away. making every future purchase feel risky. The victims are left to pick up the pieces, questioning their judgment and their passion. Some try to rebuild, but the shadow of doubt lingers, making it hard to find joy in what once brought happiness. The scars last long after the money is gone. Memories are tainted, and the sense of loss can echo for years. That's the true cost of the scam, a price paid in trust, hope, and the simple joy of believing. How do you protect yourself? It's not easy. Today's forgers are experts. Ironically, a perfect signature is often a red flag. Real autographs are rushed and imperfect. Be wary of elaborate stories. Scammers use them to distract from the truth. Always value proof over a good tale. Certificates of authenticity help, but even those can be faked. Examine the ink and paper. Does it match the era? Is the signature too uniform? Auto pens and modern markers are common tools forgers use. The best defense is expert authentication. Companies like PSA, JSA, and Beckett set the standard. It costs money, but it's worth the peace of mind. If a seller resists third-party certification, walk away. It's better to miss a deal than fall for a scam. In collecting, skepticism is your best friend. Trust, but always verify. The lesson is simple. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Rare autographs don't sell for bargain prices. Greed blinds both buyers and sellers, making us ignore warning signs. The best defense is skepticism and education. Learn about signatures, authentication companies, and reputable dealers. Treat every major purchase like an investment. Protect your money and your trust. Operation Bullpen ended with arrests, but the problem didn't disappear. For every forger caught, more take their place, using new techniques and new scams. The fight against fakes is ongoing, and educated collectors are the front line. Value isn't in the object, it's in its authenticity and real story. Forgers can copy objects, but not the truth. We must look past illusions and demand authenticity. Protect your hobby, your money, and your passion. The responsibility is ours. Exposing scams is a dirty job, but a necessary one. The story of Greg Marino is just one chapter in a much larger book of fraud. Scams evolve, but the principles remain. Exploit trust, appeal to emotion, promise the impossible. By understanding how these scams work, we can defend ourselves. Knowledge is your best shield. The stories of victims serve as warnings, reminders to be careful and diligent. We owe it to ourselves and each other to be smarter, more cautious collectors. Share what you learn, because scammers certainly do. There's always another dirty job to uncover, another story to tell. If you find these stories fascinating, stick around. There's a whole world of hidden truths out there, and I'll be here to tell them.